Pre-firing pep talk is crazy. All right. All right. I think we're live. Okay. Cool. So, let's begin. All right. So let's do some introductions. We'll start with broccolifangirl. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I go by broccolifangirl. I've been playing WH3 multiplayer since April, I think. And I mostly play slow melee factions, except vampires. So like Nurgle, Korn. I play a bit of warriors. Yeah.
All right. We'll go to Lemur then. Lemur?
So, I am Lemur. I have started playing at April 2, I guess. I was
Yeah.
introduced to the multiplayer scene at about the same time as Broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
I do play a bit more, skillful factions like Chaos Dwarfs. But, everything is fine. Everything is nice.
Okay. Seryca?
Hello, I go by Nerexa or Seryca in the community. I'm your local wood elf enjoyer and 100% organically grown salt marsh dryad. I started playing about, 3 years ago with the Mortal Empires release. And yeah, been through a lot of the ups and downs of the domination.
All right. So, let me just get this out of the way. So everyone here, I believe, is RTK, maybe?
Oh no, you can't say that.
No.
No. Okay, I know
Very
Lemur and
much
Broccoli
not,
are.
no.
Nerexa,
Yeah.
what are you again? Sorry.
I got drafted into XMT early in the career.
Okay.
Extreme meme team.
Extreme meme team.
Or who else there? Skalbrand?
Yeah. Early it was
then-
Taco, Eric Drastic,
Yeah.
Falcon.
Max.
Oh. And land battle players. Like a lot of the better land battle players.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But we are from the humble RTK. RTK, a long-standing tradition. I think it was made in like 2007 or something, like when Shogun was released even.
I don't
it's
even
pretty-
know like our lore that far.
Like it's maybe older than like 90% of the world population.
True.
It's a nice,
Yeah, RDK is like
it's
like
a nice cozy community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People will say many things about RTK, but at least it's not rat, right?
Okay. I want to be on the record. I really like Raktan. I think they are very nice people. And it just so happened that I was playing in RTK beginner tourneys when I started playing competitive PvP. And that's how I got into the clan. So I don't have like any strong preferences. Of course, I enjoy being an RTK, but I love the Raktan players a lot.
Yeah, those
I
Raddies
think
are fun. Sorry, Bob, go ahead. Or not Bob, Lemur. Ugh.
Bob, yeah. Anyway, I think that's a nice way to segment into a discussion on how new player tournaments are like a really good starting point for players to start playing multiplayer. Obviously, maybe not jumping straight into it, but very early it's important to get like the diverse opponents and
I agree.
to become a better player, right?
Yeah.
The game can be a rather frustrating start, and playing against very strong opponents is not really helpful for that. So,
Yeah. That's why community loves to organize new player tournaments, mostly on weekend, because it gives new players a chance to see how good they are and test their builds versus similarly skillful opponents, right? That's how
And they also usually are getting their games casted and get some feedback from experienced
Yeah,
players.
they are actively encouraged to play because it's not that they think it's pretty cool to be casted, right? And it's that positive reinforcement to be casted and commented on, and multiplayer scene is not huge. It's not like billion people. It's not Fortnite, but I mean, Broccoli is like our famous Fortnite player. The thing is, the multiplayer community is pretty tight and cozy, and many people are really willing to help anyone, right? Many
Yeah.
people that get into a multiplayer scene and to stay there.
Yeah, I think the retaining new players is something we still struggle with, because also of the slow update cycle, the game can get a bit stale, and a lot of play other games.
I
Some
wonder
people,
about that. There's so much to discover in this game since it's so crazy complicated, and that's why it's still matchups with minor changes or just people starting to think differently, new players coming in with new ideas, and suddenly whole matchups and balancing things are turned over. Especially if you start playing with people from other regions that kind of sit in their own bubbles, like
That's
playing against Chinese or Korean players. They come with something completely different at you, since you're just well in your own. Yeah, well, you always try to counter opponents' builds, and if you have never countered something before, you don't tag for it. And I think there's a lot of really good potential in there to stretch out the lifetime for a really long time with minimal effort, since it's so self-sustaining in its complexity.
I guess if we had like a proper ranked ladder, like a centralized official system, people from the regions all over the world wouldn't be so isolated in their communities.
technology for that sadly was not developed yet.
True.
Too ahead of our time.
I do have to chime in because with the other interview or live talks I've done, the sentiment too is that this game is also quite expensive to get into. So if you want to get into certain factions, yeah, you're looking at least around $200 maybe for all the DLC, not games included.
Yeah, like that's the reason there aren't many people from the EU. Why? There are strict internet regulations. Even pirating something like a simple video is pretty problematic, and that's why it may seem that the Eastern communities are more diverse. They have less strict rules, so they are more likely to pirate and actually get access to the old stuff.
You think so?
I do not. Sorry?
You really think so? I think there's a lot of European players, like comparatively to the total population of the game, which is very small. I think there's a lot of players here.
I think my point is that that's why the Eastern community is more diverse, like Seryca said, because they have the opportunity to try out more things.
Because they pirate, it's just more people in Asia.
That's not what I want to. They
I don't want the whole EU to drop down on me and be like, this nerd. But yeah, back to it. But I think that is one of the gatekeepers of this game, is just the cost of it. I guess some of that as well.
Oh yeah. It's easy to forget if you played the series from the beginning and only just every half a year paid out $10 or 15 or something. But if you try to get into it completely new, it's of course massive wall. There really should be different payment systems.
I think it was our last live talk. Someone suggested that multiplayer, playing any unit and any faction, should be free, since it's so small. And if you want to play campaign or anything, then you'd have to pay. But you would only pay for like single faction or anything like that, or certain DLCs, I guess. But yeah, I think that would be a great way, because that gets you to buy campaign anyways. If you're able to play, like, say, the Dark Elf players, you play that, and I was like, oh, I want to play Dark Elf campaign now. Bam.
If it's not considered large market to extend into the multiplayer things, then it would be excellent promotion material. And I think the existence of the multiplayer community and the hyped out battles and tournaments that are shown from time to time are also a huge pull into the campaign players. I kind of want to. It's an attraction to see what is possible, even if you don't want to participate in it.
I think so too. I think most of the players on the bigger channels, like Torrenticity's channel, like at least 90% of the viewers over there are probably just campaign players. Like they have to be familiar with the game to watch PvP, right? But
Yeah.
we know that the community isn't large enough for all of those people to actively play. So I think this them showcasing the multiplayer scene and what is actually possible in battles between two humans also makes people like excited to try out, as you said, the units in campaign.
Right, because
I would love to see the 500 to 1,000 people watching Turin at a time to just be in one tournament. Sadly, our infrastructure would just surrender.
Yeah.
Domination has been a real boom in multiplayer community, right? Like, I'm not sure, even though it's not large, even right now, I don't think it would be a fraction of this. Domination. Domination really.
I also really like Domination. I've never played a land battle game in my life because
what?
I was not interested. Yeah, never mind. Well, I've played in campaign, right? But not versus a real person.
Ah, okay.
Land battles have this reputation of being cheesy, so many people tend to stay away from them naturally.
That I understand.
That's what put me off.
And like people who are interested in multiplayer are probably interested in playing tabletop game, right? And Domination is very similar to the tabletop game in the broad general sense. So
I guess that's
people feel familiar and want to play Domination. I think.
No, I totally agree with that.
Mm.
As someone who plays tabletop, Dom makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also
like
from
there are.
You go ahead, Lemur.
Sorry. Like there are some niche criticisms, like the game mode is too arcadey, but it really is fun. It really is engaging and promotes many different units, even though not all of them are viable. Most of them use.
Yeah. I think the arcadey part of it is
quite a while of update.
What do you say?
But by now, all the units are, or most of the units are viable. It took quite a while of updates.
Yeah.
Getting
Like,
whole
right now, the
unit
game is
types back into being workable.
Yeah. I think there are very few units that will actively like make your army worse than not taking a unit. So that's pretty new. But I think the arcade elements of Dom are what makes it a better game mode. Like, I guess land battle is more organic. You just have a battlefield and you fight. But that only works so well if both players are willing to fight, I guess. Otherwise, you just get guided.
It's also one narrative that you can spin in your head canon for what's the larger story of the thing, the battle that you're fighting. Sure, there are very gamey elements in Domination with the staggered reinforcement things, but also I can't get a serious view on land battles since those fights to the last man, and in the end there's three single entities fighting against each other after our infantry is routed.
Hold on. Let's not shit on land battle too hard now.
No, that's not even what I mean. It's not a bad play, a bad game to get there, but it's a game. It's not inherently more realistic than Domination. That's just what I wanted to say.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
You don't fight a battle to the last man. That's just not happening.
Like historically, anytime there was like a war, I think it was only losing 10% of your army, and you pretty much everyone just routed off, and that was it. That's really how a real battle only went. But yeah, there was no
Yeah.
Unbreakable. There was no one casting Pit of Shade. So yeah.
Right.
It really sucks when Napoleon doesn't have Burning Head.
Right.
No, the damn French.
Uh,
Damn.
Many problems with the land battle mode can be attributed to Warhammer 3 being Warhammer game with spells and single entities being a big factor. In, for example, what Seryca said, that most battles are decided on two guys duking it out on a dune somewhere, right? Which is cinematic to a bit, but it becomes kind of annoying when there's like 15 different small guys duking it out across the field.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's not more realistic or less arcadey in land battle compared to them.
In a game where there's less fantastical elements, it will probably work much better, right?
I
When there
agree.
is no, like when Genghis Khan cannot bring a shredder to the battlefield, it will probably.
Although I
Yeah.
used to play some PvP in old, like historical Total Wars, and I was still a kiting problem. Like the Horse Archer factions, for example, I played some Rome 2 PvP, and people would just either like do a box with spears and artillery, or just Horse Archer spam. That was crazy.
Dandy Kant says, "What do you mean Caesar did not box home point objective and build up?" Oh, Danny.
I mean, kinda a lot of battles, sieges went like this or not.
Yeah, I agree.
You sit on a hill somewhere and wait for reinforcements, and the one that gets them earlier, the other side retreats. Battle 1. GG.
No, I was talking
Surrender
about
0.
you were talking on the live talks last time with Sterngard, and I just complained like, yeah, I don't want to play against dwarves on land battle where they're boxed up a hill with their guns pointed down. Yeah, that's totally what I want to do in land battle.
Yeah, though you have to say that Dom kinda, in some situation, shoots too much in the different side, with especially infantry units, where you need some protection walls against it. And in domination, you just can't maintain that for the whole game. So you really need different transitions, and some factions and some playstyles are just gimped out by that. So it overshoots in the direction of mobility often.
Right.
That's
Too.
true. Like your infantry just dies, and it's so hard to summon in, like to justify summoning slow troops.
Yeah.
There's also the terrain factor as well. This is what me and Bob and we were all talking last time as well. It's always the melee versus shooting dilemma, where it's like if the terrain isn't suited for one or the other, then the other faction that primarily does those things will get shut down, and then yeah, that's why we have our pick and bans and Dom right now.
Right.
Yeah. Like the shooting problem is already real now. I wonder how they will handle that in future fantasy games. Like, if there is supposedly a Total War 40k, will the maps just be messes, right? Is Tau just gonna shoot the brains out of corn, or is it actually gonna have some buildings? Are they gonna stick with the formula?
We
I
could
think
go
if
on
they-
forever with that one. So
Yeah. I think if they're really trying to go in that more futuristic, or like, I guess the central point is that the game is going to be more about shooting regardless of the setting, right? And if they go that direction, they either need way more terrain on the maps or something like interactable terrain, where melee factions can use terrain to cover themselves and others can destroy the terrain. I guess that's already partially in Three Kingdoms, I believe, and in Pharaoh, that you can destroy forests, like burn them down.
Great.
That creates sort of more of a balance, but well, we don't have it in this game, and unfortunately, as far as I know, this is the only Total War game where you can find PvP.
Don't
Like,
burn down my forest. As a Lauren and Turner.
okay.
More terrain playing though, I must say, watching back over the course of now 3 years of playing, they always in the long term push things balancing wise in a good direction. They make mistakes, and with the long patch cycles, it feels like an eternity until they get fixed. But if they show the competence to balance it out in the end, and if they actually get the investment to make a multiplayer mode with a lot of priority, I think they would make a really good game and also solve those melee versus range balancing issues.
It's an exciting perspective. It's an exciting prospect to think about how many people would, especially if Warhammer gets into the public conscience by releasing a new Amazon series, right? If that gets the ball rolling, we might be in some money, ladies and gentlemen.
What do you mean we? We ain't gonna see a dime.
I am planning.
Oh no! We are the beta testers for the real.
We're in the
pro
trenches
game
already.
then.
Yeah.
Right.
We are in the trenches. I mean, imagine just multiplayer community with like 10 million people, 2 million people in RTK, still 20 people in XMT.
Though that's logically speaking, by the power of statistics, then we all would be kinda average, and there is some nice merit to having a small community where you know the other players and are able to stick out a bit without grinding it 24/7.
Okay.
Yeah, because if we get a bunch of like StarCraft 2 pros jumping into our scene, we're pretty much all done.
Yeah.
I mean, right now the community is not too sweaty. When I was getting into multiplayer, I was worried that everyone will be using like sweaty builds. It would be like playing relatively popular competitive game nowadays. But the community is like small enough that there is like peer pressure to not cheese and not be a normal human being, like in general.
And that's good. I think it's very good that not everyone is always doing the best possible thing, besides what Seryca said earlier, that in many cases we don't know the best possible builds for all the matchups.
Well, hold on now. Hold on. That can't be true because there's still dwarf players.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
there are some sweaty players like Sterngard who like to like yeah, but like for the most part, community is pretty chill, right? People will try their hardest in tournaments, but it will for the most part it won't be like 7 single entities. Go, my children, go.
Yeah,
true. Actually, with how the meta's coming, that's what I've been seeing a bit. Even I've been practicing some of that. Actually, I was watching Anticity stream earlier. He just bombed somebody with like 5-7 single entities, like 3 characters and like 3 big monsters or something like that. He was playing.
He had 5
Beastman. Sorry.
5. Yeah, sorry. He had like 5 single entities. He had 2 Gorbles, a caster, I think, elemental caster, and elemental beasts, and like Gorgon, the Bloodbrute right? And I mean, it speaks in volumes on how that works. But I think it's more like entity issue and like a wide community issue.
I agree.
Where he just has the necessary micro to like win with those kind of builds.
No, yeah,
you need some micro and game sense to pull things off like this, or some analyzing of your opponent to know what you can get away with, or just be entity and do it anyway, because you set a meme for the tournament and pull it through. But it plays a bit into one of the things I don't super like, and that is a build roulette. But it's not that bad in regular play.
No, I was just about to transition. So that was something I brought up last time, and it was like how the meta's going right now. And I think we're on that right now. And to me, I like how the meta's going right now because you never know what it's gonna be. It's basically that playstyle roulette, as you said. so it's just like you never know what they're gonna bring. But at the same time, for certain factions, that's not great. For others, yeah, that could be fine because they have the tools. Like Nurgle has none of those tools really to deal with a lot of
Yeah.
certain matchups.
So, what the
It's
hell?
it's very interesting to have this variety, which plays into the build roulette, but is not inherently connected to it, I would say. Since the variety is to then be prepared for a lot of situations in your build, but build roulette, the way I see it, starts being problematic once you really figured out a matchup. You played it 50 times against other people, and you know of like 3 styles that work with minor variations in them, but nothing in between. And then it's just coin flipping which one you pick, or scissors stone paper in the build screen. Yeah, it's a bit due to polarizing things that
I
you
agree.
can pick.
If you have like a very generalist build, you won't get build rouletted so much, but you also won't be as effective against the popular stuff that you'd know is gonna be coming.
Mean maxing can seriously be an issue for some players to deal with, just because
Yeah.
you have to gamble a lot. It's
Yeah, like if you have like a, let's say, a varied build or like a balanced build, and you do come up against a 5 single entity style, you can't really deal with it in the same way as if you had specifically doctored your build to deal with that. But then you do have other strengths, right? Like if Anticity is against you and he doesn't have 5 single entities all of a sudden, then you don't want your anti-single entity build. So I guess that's what Narexa was saying.
In a sense, yes. There's
even
only so much counter generalist build has to something, and then if that something is really destructive, so you pick out 2 chariots, but there are 2 more, and they run over all your infantry. Then, but chariots become a very problematic thing.
But but isn't that more of a faction dilemma then at that point? Because like certain factions will have like say some shooting or some artillery to come deal with such things. No.
Okay, that's I think a problem of SFTs. Like in
Agreed.
particular, where if you get a bad matchup, there is no getting around. Yeah, you can change the map, but some matchups like Empire into Greenskins will still be unwinnable, right? No, it doesn't matter whether you're on Altar of the Champion or Dunes Okay, and you are getting buoyed by Green.
Agreed. I think the angle you could come at this to rein this in is more strict unit caps, maybe, because I don't think we need to have some rosters have like 3-4 different chariots. They don't need to have 4 of the same best chariot in their army.
Yeah. Or some factions have their entire rosters being chariots, like ogres, for example.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. That's a very different issue, but I see what you mean.
If I may take my liberty to expand our view of things here, it's like, and I lost my train of thought. Anyway, ogres are OP. Please nerf.
Well, I think that was the sentiment. So yeah.
I think some stricter unit caps would fix stuff for me.
Oh yeah. So game, I think Broccoli said that people are getting kind of bored because the game is getting stale with no update. Am I wrong?
Yeah, sometimes that has happened in the past.
Game is getting more, but the game is getting more balanced with every patch because there is no turbulence anymore. There is no random unit, random DLC unit go type of builds. Thunder Barge just deletes the meta for like 2 months, and then you have to deal with it, right?
I mean, with such things, we at the hosts are rather quick by now to intervene and restrict such real-world beta units.
Yeah.
And I think that's good as well.
If we see the Steam chart, like player numbers have been relatively the same. Like they have been rising in the past couple of months, even with
are we like as multiplayer peeps? Are we really represented in the Steam chart at all? I wasn't talking like from
mean,
a statistics perspective or for campaign players. I've just
I
heard the
mean,
sentiment from some people that they don't like it when the update cycle is so slow.
I mean, obviously their opinion doesn't matter, and we are the most important ones, I think, objectively speaking. But I guess other people should have a say in what gets buffed and nerfed. So, and community works together to bring out balance suggestions, which helps not only CA as a whole, because many different points of views are represented, and many of them are wrong, but some of them are like correct for the most part. So they get put into this neat little balance suggestion
Exactly.
pack.
I was gonna say Catholic does a really good job, like moderating that sort of conversation that people are having.
Yeah.
And
You mean ignoring 95% of it, since it's
yes, literally
drifting
yes,
away
but
into
the
the
correct way, I
irrelevant,
think.
crazy
Yeah,
Yes.
suggestion.
Damn it,
Catholic is
Catholic,
a
get on
real
the channel.
Catholic is a real backbone of the community. Mathematically look through the buffs. He won't change something just because he wants to, at least openly.
That's true. Yeah,
Uh,
he always does testing for what people claim as well on his own.
yeah, he will ban obviously stupid OP things like Arrows of Cronus.
Oh, hold
Stuff.
on now. Let's not get too crazy. But no, go on, Lemur.
Sorry. But yeah, the community is really nice when it comes to patching, and patches have been releasing. Patches have been releasing kind of quickly this past couple of months. Like, I think 6.2 was released like a month ago, and they're already talking about the next patch note, which is, I think, really nice. Like, game is in a nice state right now.
I agree.
But
I really like them speeding up the patch cycle a lot.
Yeah, they need to,
I
man.
doubt, though, that there will be a lot of multiplayer changes in the next
Yeah.
few
Oh, yeah.
patches,
Well,
since
don't
they
be so
worked
negative.
down.
Come on.
And they worked down a huge list, and they kind of seem to be more in the modus that they want to have it all, or a patch dedicated to a certain
That's true.
topic, and so multiplayer comes into rotation every few patches and not every one.
Yeah.
Just the most important things, or that get coincidentally fixed again together with campaign issues.
There are some like obvious problems, like the ogres as a whole, and like creeping single problem. But for the most part, they're doing a really good job. Right?
Good.
You blame them too much, even for $1 billion company.
Okay, Lieber. Okay. All right, let's go to the next question then. Before we
Yes, sir.
go on to another trail. So, what do you guys like? What builds do you guys hate dealing with? What kind of style do you guys hate dealing with? Faction included, I guess.
I guess it already came through earlier, but kite builds for me.
Everyone says kite builds, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, I wonder why. It's a game mode about capturing, not about running in a circle and shooting with your Scorchrunner chariots. Yeah, I said it.
Capture the point. I'll be shooting you.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
I think kite is the most frustrating thing to play, and at the same time, I feel like kite doesn't even have that much of a huge advantage, because sometimes you'll just kite someone out, you'll get your value lead, and you just don't have time to win the game anymore. So it's like, what are we doing this for? You are not winning, and I'm getting frustrated.
Well, it sounds like someone's winning, man.
Yeah.
But
in different ways, we're both losing.
Yeah. People would say kite, except for kite users, because it's
for real.
Simply non-interactive, right? You do not interact.
Thank you.
You do not interact with kite. You right-click a unit, you shoot. Oh, unit approaches, go back, and the cycle repeats. And it's kind of even a bigger problem because it forces down that choke point of gambling issue. Not me. I've gone to therapy, but like gambling, build gambling. Seryca mentioned, right? Where you maybe expect kite, right? Many kite factions will in fact have pretty good melee rushing, which if you bring a lot of range to deal with the kite, you maybe just get rushed, and then
Yes.
the game is over, right? You try to interact, but kite player said that not today, and you just lose.
And just to
That's-
chime in real quick, that doesn't even include anything like other infantry to block, spells to net, or just netting in general.
Right.
Yeah, the problem is like kite is supposed to be balanced about having less firepower than like infantry stationary shooting. But like if you have more time to shoot, right? If you cannot get really interrupted, it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, because Dom is such a long game mode.
Yeah, if it land battles, there are some problems, but in
I think Kite
domination,
is less of a problem in land battle because they don't even go through all their winds of magic.
oh yeah,
So the games
like
can't be that long.
yeah, at least in domination you can bring reinforcements to try to deal with kite. If you
That's
don't
fair.
bring the thing you need in land battles, you just lose to kite, right? Kinda
That's-
sucks.
But then some factions just don't have tools to deal with Kite, really.
That too.
Yeah, so
I would now like to chime in and differentiate things
Okay, here
here.
comes the hammer.
There,
Go
there
ahead.
are some certain things of kites that are mostly fast and tanky that you really can't do anything about with certain factions like Scratch Runners, War Wagons, Outriders, but also all the Marauder Cav for a lot of
That's
factions
fair,
are
yeah.
already in this spectrum. And yeah, they get their ammo out mostly, unless they
Yeah.
run into
Every
unfortunate
game.
issues,
they're so
which are
speedy.
mostly ending issues.
They're so speedy. They're
But
so speedy.
there are a lot of shooting kite tools that aren't necessarily that much faster than the opponent's infantry. Just a tiny bit, so that you can get a bit away and into better positions. And
Yeah. I mean,
I
foot kite is just
don't-
as toxic.
Like conceptually, it's like they need to be way more for real for kites to be okay, because they have 4 capture rate, like for horsemen for example, have 4 capture rate. They have really good ammo. They do not need to engage in melee. They are basically like a missile unit that can capture the objective, which is really important for domination, being objective centered, right?
Yeah, it's though the natural counter to kite for a lot of factions is, as you said, stationary missile units. That's kind of the scissors stone and paper. I call it rock.
Rock, paper, scissors, yeah.
Brimstone. Yeah, damn.
What did you say?
Whatever. That's a mechanic how those things are supposed to counter each other, but the foot missiles kind of are in a
They miss
sketchy
or
spot often in domination, and
also true.
thus they don't provide their counter to the kiting turrets.
Kiting factions that also have like burning head to one shot your archer line are really something to deal with.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
on the other hand, there are a lot of tools that now get designed to be able to handle the kite for most Furies, since they, again, are faster than whatever the other side has. And as a, collateral damage, kind of the foot missiles, again, get another hammer down on them.
I agree. Foot missiles are collateral damage in the war against kite. I think Furies are too good against foot missiles and are still useless against kite chariots, because you just charge them with another kite chariot and it's still a chariot.
Yeah, like the skirmish cavalry has its own problems. It's really strong, but yeah, Furies
That's true.
are okay with dealing with it. Like the biggest problem, in my opinion, are the chariot skirmishers. Even though I play factions that usually don't struggle that much with chariot skirmishers, so like I shouldn't have much problems with them. Because conceptually, they are not really fun to engage with. Because everyone knows how tough it is to engage multiple heroes in a single blob, right? It's basically the same for chariots. Like these units have 2,000 health per model. They are basically small heroes. It's tough to interact with a 2,000 HP entity, and when there's like multiple of them stacking on top of each other, it's really hard to kill because only a certain amount of units can actually engage in melee, right? Because of space issues,
If they
logistics.
even try to hit and don't just spin around in a circle and switch targets, yeah.
Yeah,
Chat.
Furies have some problem even catching the skirmish cap, but like there is no catching the chariot. The chariots, they're just gonna get run over.
Well, that's a flying in some of the that's a Warhammer issue in general where models just can't engage because of spacing. But yeah.
They're just janking out the whole game.
Yeah. Has anyone's ever seen like a flying entity just do a little dance in midair? That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Game has a lot of jank, and many of us have just gotten used to it. Like just account for it. But I don't think that's like a really healthy sentiment. But it's just that we are forced to accept that okay, my Phoenix will never hit this unit because it's routing, right?
That's
It's never gonna get.
We just have to accept it because that's how the game is.
To be fair, that's something that's really hard to fix since it's somehow emergent behavior and nothing designed. It's just directly out of the engine rules, and those are hard to fix on a model by model basis. Maybe future engines kind of fix some things like that. I hope so. There's still no real competition that kind of can deal with 10,000 models on the field at once, and maybe something like this would be good to push to the wall to improve their basics.
Yeah.
But no one dares to step on their toes. Hard to compete against such an established franchise.
I agree.
It's gonna be really rough if this continues into more shooting heavy games, right? When there's so much jank chasing and turning around when shooting.
What more gets me are the things that, in my opinion, are really preventable, like UI issues. There are two things in the game that really trigger me each time I encounter them, and one of it is not being able to click or select the unit that I want to select. Because I have my unit selected and I want to right click at the opponent, but the opponent is below the icon of either a control point or one unit of my own, which I currently with a right click have no possible interaction of. And I still click at it and it does nothing.
Yeah.
And I can't move the icon that I want to click at to front and have no... I can't do anything, and it's completely preventable by just filtering out all the things that I can't anyway interact with at the moment. And I also never want to interact with a control point since there are no possible useful interactions with it. Such things, completely preventable, and my opinion should be fixed. And that can't be just a multiplayer issue, since it is completely the same thing in campaign.
It's just as annoying. But I guess you can pause in campaign to zoom in 5 times and then click on the 1 pixel of enemy icon you can actually see.
Yeah, if we maybe didn't have to go peer-to-peer and actually have servers for a multi-billion-dollar game, maybe it would work fine.
That's also a thing.
No, I don't think that's an actual connection issue. It's just basic UI design that's completely running on your computer.
So you mean like if I select a damage spell, like a Melkov's, it should automatically highlight all enemy icons and pull them to the foreground. So you
That
can
would
click
be really advanced. The more basic thing would just hide or push to the background all of my own icons, all things that I can't interact with at the
like the
moment.
opposite. Okay. And if you select a healing spell, you shouldn't be able to click on opponent icons or see them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense to me.
Objective lines being maybe actually seeable would be also an issue.
But I think that's a map
Yeah.
design issue. Like some map makers sometimes forget that objective lines are just flat on the ground, and so if you have like any terrain like water or dunes on top of the objective, you can't actually see the outline as a player.
Huh.
We are not hating on map designers. We love map designers.
They just
They just-
sometimes like get caught up in making the maps as beautiful as possible, and
yeah.
yeah,
And
it's
sometimes
such a simple fix.
yeah, and sometimes they make rolling maelstrom for some reason.
I
What's
do
wrong with
like-
Whirling Maelstrom? I like Whirling
That's
Maelstrom.
beautiful.
It's one of the more interesting maps, in my
I agree.
opinion.
I agree.
One of the maps of all time.
Dang it, Lemur, always trying to start something.
True.
Alright, so, okay, on another point then. What are your guys, some of your favorite builds in multiplayer? What do you guys like to play yourselves?
From least favorite to most favorite.
Yeah. Just your favorite in general. Cause I have a sickening feeling we're gonna get off topic real quick.
I guess my favorite. Well, my main or like my favorite faction is Nurgle. My best faction is Khorne. They're basically the same. Let's be honest. One of them doesn't have magic, and the other one doesn't have. Wait, they're the same. The one that doesn't have shooting and the one that doesn't have magic. Either way, I like melee builds. I like more elite builds though. I know a lot of Nurgle players in particular. They just like to spam 10 Marauders and 5 Nurglings and stand on the point. That's not for me. I prefer using melee units that hit hard, and you need to pilot them right to get good value. I guess I like to challenge myself a bit sometimes to take more micro-intensive units. And that's across all my factions. And then I like playing very aggressively, like pushing into opponents' deployment zones, which is why I also don't like maps that have very far back deployment zones, because then my units will never get to reinforce. Yeah, like Itza. Like if I call in stuff and I'm already in the enemy backline, my reinforcement units never arrive. But I think that's more of a playstyle issue or a skill issue at that point.
Fair enough.
But that's my preference.
Okay.
Like a melee wall with more elite troops.
Fair enough. Alright, Lemur, lay it into us.
I will let Seryca go first.
Oh, shit.
I feel it like
Okay,
he has
so he has a prophecy that we're gonna derail afterwards. Okay. I have probably two favorite styles, and one is rather connected to my Wood Elves, where a complete ambusher play style, not kiting, but units distributed over the whole field, camping in some forests, waiting for their chances. One of my favorite abilities was the Blessing of Luck, the invisibility on AoE for 30 seconds or something it is, to pull off ambush moves. And yeah, engagements here, they're trying to really play with information. Sadly, it's only really possible on a few maps and against factions where the mobility of both sides is fairly equivalent. Otherwise,
Yeah, you just get run over on one flank.
yeah. You need protection for the missile pieces that are woven in and such. The other is probably the complete opposite of that. A full pike and shot line I kind of just love the idea of going with actual early modern tactics against fantasy creatures.
Mhm.
So halberds, iron sights, all the stuff without the fantasy creatures. Of course, I'm gonna bring it, but everyone does.
You need to bring magic, yeah. Well, you do the same
Yeah.
style with Coast, though.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
that's.
So there's your fantasy
I
creatures
tried
and your
to.
pike and shot.
I tried to
It's-
do basically the same thing, but with
Mhm.
Coast, you really can't avoid the monsters.
That's true. You need
That's
your
not
monsters.
happening.
Well, if your monsters are the shot, then you can still have pikes. I think it counts.
True. Is
So I
Shadow
need crabs with guns, and I need crabs with halberds, so it evens out again.
Then
Pike and shot.
you can use foot halberds. But yeah, you have crabs with guns normally.
But none with
But I
halberd.
know I have unfortunately seen the playstyle you mean, and you're pretty good at it.
Wait.
Hmm?
Nothing.
Then
Okay.
Lemur, bring it on to us. And why is
Yeah,
it
Lemur,
single
it's your
entity
turn.
You're waiting
artillery?
on you, Lemur.
So. Because my opinion is the most correct one here.
Oh,
Of course.
it's not even an opinion. But...
I mean, I didn't want Seryca to get overshadowed by this gargantuan of an opinion. I like playing what looks cool on the battlefield.
Oh,
My biggest problem with the campaign is that it takes 72 hours to get a cool unit, right? I don't want to be playing with a tier 1 infantry. I love multiplayer because I get to play in some matchups, not always, but in some matchups I get to play with cool units, The
Mhm.
Infernal Iron Sword, the Tomb King constructs, the big dinosaurs of Lizardmen, I love the game aesthetically. It looks pretty nice. And I don't really have a preference. It's more like I love this faction aesthetically, and then I try to make a build work however it looks like. And hopefully there will be some cool units. So I guess I would say that I prefer going more elite than wide. Because I like my units performing.
Mhm. Like your carry units, like the very
Yeah,
weak
I mean, I'm playing like a pretty low tier faction right now, Chaos Dwarfs, and there are some
turn.
like underpowered units like trains, but I try to make them work. I try.
Oh, that's really brave of you, Lemur.
Yeah, that's it.
Right,
I think
no.
that's a pretty good take, though. Even for a Chaos Dwarf player, that's a pretty respectable take.
A lawyer told me to not derail these discussions any further.
Okay.
Calm down, Lemur.
Yep,
Calm down.
yep. Keep your trains underrailed. Keep them underrailed.
Mhm.
Just move straight forward all the time. I'm not gonna have a problem with you.
True.
I don't know if I should even ask this question because I feel like we already hit on this topic already, but what changes would you guys like to see in multiplayer?
Oh, I think my main gripe with multiplayer is something the community can change, which is stop with the SFT spam. Like, I'm so tired. I'm sorry. I'm so tired of having fixed matchups. Sometimes
Skill
even
issue.
on fixed maps. Yeah, it is truly a skill issue for those among us who can only play one faction and don't want to sign up to a Matrix tournament, isn't it, Lemur?
Okay, actually, just so you know, I do have 2 Tomb King games played on my Total Tavern page.
Okay, two Wings games, and then the rest is all Chaos Wolves?
I will not comment on that.
Okay.
Basically, I think what Broccoli trying to say here is that we need to nerf ogres, right?
That's true. I agree. And the best way to go about this is to host more Matrix tournaments where you always
More
have
as
the opportunity to ban out 3 ogre matchups
Okay.
and never.
Fair enough, but as a war host, and I think Norexa can agree, maybe, is that one of the problems we have with not having SSC is that people just, one, it takes too long, and two, a lot of people just don't sign up for it because it's too complicated, and that's why it takes so much time, because people are
We
like,
just have to force them.
we have to force
Sometimes
feed
We
them.
have-
force people
You
into
will play Matrix.
You
Yeah.
Yeah,
will-
we have a lot of the problems that actually leads to this favoritism for single faction tournaments already mentioned. One is just that a lot of people are hardcore into one faction because they just love them and want to play mostly just them and are bummed out if they can't. Then, and that factors into that, the cost barrier of having a lot of things
That's-
available to
that's
have the actual free range to be able to do counter picks and such is not a given for everyone. Time is honestly, I don't think that's a huge constraint, especially if move to have an extra tiebreaker round on a lot of tournaments recently. A Matrix, if you're used to it, takes 5 minutes tops. Bit more if you have to think about things, but well, that's a learning process.
I agree. The more you host it, the faster people are gonna get as well.
That's fair. We had a
Another thing, and that I am also very guilty of, if I come back after work to play in a tournament, I just want to be a half brain dead mode and play what I'm used to. And
Yeah.
that's for me a huge part.
That's fair. I'm not saying
I-
we don't need to host any more SFGs, but right now the tournament host meta is absolutely nothing but SFTs.
Okay, so a counterpoint. Totally objective here. So,
Mhm.
if we have matrices, everyone bans ogres, right? And no one sees
Yes,
what you
of
in
course.
the. If we play an SFT and every single SFT is won by an ogre main, I think we get people to be more aware of the issue.
Hmm. So
Yeah,
we
okay,
should just get run over by the same faction again and again. Then we
Lemur,
don't
after
have-
this,
Yeah.
me and you are gonna play 1v1 on playing ogres.
No, wait. I mean, I'm being semi-serious here. Like, ogres, they have glaring issues, but game would survive even if they weren't touched at all. Like,
Yeah, the game balance right now is really good. In general.
yeah. Like, it was way worse back in 2022 or 3.
Or one patch ago when the Chaos Dwarf Sorcerer healing was global.
Yeah. When they nerfed Scaresaurs for like no reason, even though they're like D tier faction. Sure,
Mhm.
Top 10, calm down.
Top 5.
Top 10, there are like 9 factions in their top 10. Anyway.
Little bastard.
Also,
With love.
uh,
Go ahead.
I mean, like, ogres are the really only problem child here. Like, everything else is fine. Even
So
ogres
that-
are not.
Your number one thing that you would change in multiplayer is nerf ogres.
Nerf ogres and buff Nurgle for you, Brooklyn.
Thank you. You misunderstand Nurgle players though. The difference between a Nurgle player and a Dwarf player is that Dwarves are playing a bad faction, and they want everyone to buff their bad faction, and they're always crying how weak their faction is. But Chad Nurgle players are aware that they're like hindering themselves by picking this weak faction, and Nurgle players will always tell you, actually, this faction isn't that bad. You just need like a million hours of knowledge on every single matchup.
Yeah, and dwarf players just whine all the time. Like,
Agree. Agree.
They grumble.
Oh
They
no,
have-
don't call anyone out, please.
They have like two. They have like 2 good matchups, and then they even say that those 2 are not good. Because Empire uses their skill sword, great swords unit, right? So they're like OP because why does a faction have a great sword unit? How dare they? Like, I think it's
I actually don't think Nurgle is that weak though. They're just a matchup faction. Like they will dumpster some matchups and they will auto lose some matchups. And I think that's okay if you're playing in Matrix.
Yeah. And that, I think, also tackles the point of like factions' fundamental like personality, right? Nurgle being just a grindy faction. Like, how much buffs do they need to actually be something they're not supposed to? Because when they need to
Right.
grind, they will win, right? They will need
Yeah.
to change their entire faction like perspective to actually be good, right? At
I
least in
agree.
this
I
game.
think they are already good, and if we buff them to be good in their bad matchups, that would be very toxic for the game, because then they
Yeah,
would absolutely roll over anyone who needs to melee.
yeah, and like, what does community get from dwarves being OP? Who will benefit from Fox faction being OP? I have seen in other games, and I think it's a good choice that people and devs prefer attack over defense, right? Because it's more engaging. It's not fun to just be defending constantly. It's not fun to be just
Not to be forced to
losing.
sit there 5 minutes to build up so you can actually attack this defending faction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Same problem as for kiting, right? Non-engagement really sucks for everyone, except for the kite user.
True.
Nerexa?
So, yeah.
I don't even kite that much.
Oh no, that was just. Did you want to chime in?
What was the initial question again? I kind of forgot.
Changes you would like to see in multiplayer.
Oh, well, the things I would like to see most we have already mentioned, like more dedicated, maybe even dedicated game client for multiplayer with
True.
everything unlocked, especially so that we don't always have to compete with the campaign players for changes that we want to have, or things like you can't have those attributes in the unit since in campaign they get it via an item and only should get it from that, but in the back end they are inherently tied together. So maybe just a weird copy of it, a branch that gets an extra set of things would be enough for me, but that's kind of, yeah, probably harder for the devs already.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They can't even get the launcher going right now.
Shit. Yeah.
I mean, they want to retire the launcher, right?
God bless.
The-
Slow piece of shit.
All right, calm down.
Okay, sorry.
What actually is supposed to be come after that one?
After the launcher.
Yeah.
God knows. Maybe we could just finally load into the game and enable Steam mods from main menu.
Maybe this technology will be invented where you click a button and it enables mods in game.
Yeah.
That's too much. All right, we're asking too much. All right.
Okay.
I did
Another
have
topic.
I did want a talking point. It's not on here, but one I want to. This is one I want to propose, and want to get your guys' idea on or your take on it. And that is so for Dom, you know how it's 9,000 starting, 9,000 reserve. What if we change it to 1,200 starting, 6,000 reserve? 12,000 starting, 600 reserve. Something, because on tabletop and 40k and everything else, you can put something in reserve up to like a quarter of your army. So 2k, so 500 points.
Yeah,
So what if we could do something like that in Dom, where it could fix a lot of these issues where you don't have the right unit that you need, and it would stop a lot of these, what I would call build-up starting times for certain factions, or certain games.
I think the advantage of having large reinforcements is that you reduce build roulette in a way, because you only pay for the units that you actually want.
Right,
If you have
but you already
like a
have,
large
but you
army-
put 3,000 of that in the reserve, so you don't have to sit here and wait. You see what I'm saying?
But in that case, you could just start with the wrong units, right?
The
Yeah,
build roulette even more extreme. It will exacerbate the problems of land battles.
I think so.
Problem land battles.
would need to be tight on strict restrictions of what you can do. If you now have a problem with the opponent bringing 4 chariots, with 12,000 funds, he can put in 3 more, and now you have a really bad problem. So, yeah, there's a cap of 6 for war machines or something. So, yeah, but
The only big problem of skirmisher units right now is that the rest of the army can be small. But imagine if you can take the skirmishers, eliminate the most important parts of the enemy's army, and then they just have 15 billion infantry slowly marching up and dying.
I think it would really skew it more towards the issue where if you start with the wrong units right now, you just summon the units from your reinforcements that are good, and you never pay for the other units. And if the game had less reinforcements, you would kind of be forced to summon those suboptimal units, like regardless of whether they're good right now or not, because you don't have anything else. So if anything, I could see in general increasing both funds.
Another thing is that you mentioned that it should reduce the build-up things. But the way I see it, build-up is mostly done not because you have the wrong tools on the field and need to really wait for something. But build-up is mostly done willingly, knowingly from the very beginning of the build planning as a design strategy. So where you just design an army that is good at fighting if you have everything on the field. And that is not necessarily one that is adaptable to situations.
That's true.
Actually,
Yeah,
it's
kind of
usually very unadaptable since
you need everything, or you plan
Yeah.
to bring out like at least 70%.
yeah, you just capitalize on brutish power with that.
I guess build-up can be a bit boring for both sides, but it's also a choice you make as the build-up player, like a strategic choice that I think is justified to be in the game, even though it's a bit boring.
Yeah.
Is
The other thing.
Well, then I guess the flip side of it would be changing how many points. Then no, so instead of 1,500, we could do 1,000 or maybe 1,250, something in between.
Hell
if we
no.
could change that.
We had 1,000 points in the beginning. Actually, the beginning, and also when I started, I didn't play before Immortal Empires got released, where only the 4 Chaos Monogod factions and Cathay and Kislev were around.
Yeah.
But 1,000 points led to a very hard focus on moving durable and infantry or just sticky things onto the points and just win on that. And
rushing.
We got rid of it for a reason.
I think the game would just feel too short.
It will basically disable shooting units. It will just promote rushing and like.
Yeah, shooting or build centered around shooting usually try to sit back quite a bit and then get value, get an army wipe, and take back the field afterwards. And if you cut a third of the time that you have to achieve that, you're not getting your triple cap in the end. You're forced to go way earlier, and then you need the units that can get you quick payoff and also quick capture rate. I want to go a small step back to the build-up thing. One thing about build-up is that tries often to make up for tools that you don't have in your roster at all. Like, you can't, if you rush early into Empire and they have a Sunmaker in the field, and you have no counter artillery or long-range missile spells in your faction, that's horrible. So, you need to minimize the relative impact of those super long-range tools.
Or in general, anything you don't have a counter to will have less impact.
Yeah. At least that was the case, and then Furious got buffed.
Okay.
I mean,
now the Sunmaker isn't really that much of an issue anymore, since it has a crew and can actually die compared to things like Little Grom, Medusas, Death Shrieks.
Imagine if there were like a faction or two factions where artillery was undead. I mean, unbreakable, right? It would be really problematic, right?
Nah.
Yeah,
Nah.
the thing, Coast artillery isn't really unbreakable. They have so low leadership that if they get touched, they super quickly disintegrate. Not disintegrate, but crumble away.
Yeah, because their
And
HP
like a
is
mortar,
so low too, right?
a mortar unit needs 5-6 minutes to get their payoff, and even if they can recrew after getting hit after a minute of firing or something, then they have maybe a minute left to fire, and they will not pay for themselves in any capacity.
Yeah. Well, my dear host mentioned that like Warhammer 40k tabletop can put a quarter of their army in reserves. But I think a much better example is the Conquest, Last Argument of the Kings, like another fantasy game. I think maybe like the most popular after
Is it
Warhammer
like the
Fantasy.
tabletop game?
So, yeah, the tabletop game.
Okay.
Where you reinforce like half of your army, basically like domination. Like it's really similar in a general sense to domination, and it works pretty well. Like rule-wise, it's pretty solid. So I think like the framework we have now is fine. I think it's more like delicate issues, specific issues, rather than do we need to increase the points required? Do we need to decrease the funds, or do we need to put that dumb timer on the objectives that was a thing a while ago?
I really like the pacing right now in WH3. I think the game mode itself feels really good. Like I have very few basic complaints with it. Some stuff like you can't resummon units that are routing, so sometimes I'll let like a foot caster live that's broken, and then my opponent doesn't have a caster for 5 minutes. But this is, I think, like really niche complaints. And
Yeah,
most of the issues still in the game is just literally stats or something is jank.
I think Seryca had a valid argument about how Lord resummoning being changed was not the smartest move.
Yeah, that got pushed from a lot of sides until it got implemented that Lords first. At the beginning, you didn't need to bring a Lord or hero.
Yeah.
Just the first unit you had would assume the Lord role. That was maybe a bit questionable when the Lord got introduced to be required in the main army. But that it now can't be unsummoned anymore kinda guarantees for a lot of styles that you get the kill if you have some tool that can just on long range take it out if it got ever into danger. Like 300 distance, Spirit Leech.
Doombolt, A-OK.
Yeah.
Doombolt, Soul Quench. Or just a flying unit going over there and chasing it down, finishing it off.
It's really an easy solution to all of this. Right.
The main argument that I think was for the push to it is that it's just more immersive, more epic to have those Lord duels to then actually lead to a death. Which I never really understood, since my caster Lord dueling with Archeon isn't really an epic experience in any way you phrase it.
Well, I think it was due to the fact that people would actually try to get a Lord Snipe if they were behind, and that would be their like final hope to actually come back into the game. And then it turns out they could just, oh, he got low, let me unsummon him, and then you didn't really take a penalty.
Yeah, but if you can unsummon it, that means he was in a safe spot.
For 10 seconds.
Yeah, but in 10 seconds, you can get quite things.
To be fair,
It
this
could
is
have
back
been
when. Go ahead.
implemented differently with longer unsummoning timers, okay, or if you go to your own summoning points, then you can unsummon it or something.
I
But
see what you're saying.
if I actually finished my duel with the opponent lord and have like 500 HP left. I managed to escape. I spent a hell of a lot of micro in escaping this lord in this situation, wasted units on screening, and managed to retreat into my side. And then it just routes because the opponent sends a fury over and the fear effect on it routes it. And I lose the battle because it chases off the
I
field.
actually can see
And
that argument. Like you win the Lord duel, and then you lose long term because your opponent can resummon a full HP Lord, and you have
yeah,
nothing left to kill it.
that
Well,
actually happens also
Well,
rather
here's the
often.
thing that was brought up
Especially
too
with
in
Naga.
chat is that when you had lords who were toxic like Celestra, who could resummon for just her summons alone, her night summons and such. What about something like that, or even like Skaven when they would just unsummon their lord right away and then just get a wide army buff?
I think it's better how it is now.
Those
For
things
sure.
got fixed separately.
They could reintroduce the resummoning, but just change the leadership debuff somehow. Like, I'm not a professional. There are people way more to make up a thing, to make it more balanced. But I think it would be really nice to have the already summoned back just because of all the sniping, right? But make the penalties harsher than they were before. Because before you would resummon and it was like your lord didn't die, right? No debuff on your army.
I think the other thing you could do is like just forbid resummoning, maybe. So you're not at such an advantage if you ever kill.
Doesn't make it better. There are some situations where if someone wants, you will just get the lord kill unless you camp in the corner for the whole game. If Zinj really wants and Bluefire spams and army ability spams at you, your lord is just dying. That's or when Elspeth comes around with double spirit leech things and the laser breath. Yeah, you will just die. That's
okay.
The question is how you deal with the aftermath or how you delay it for as long as possible.
Yeah, like make losing a lord punishing, right? Because before you resummon, no punishment, right? Make not having your lord punishment, but maybe not as.
That's not true. And in a lot of situations, getting your lord off the field with the routed debuff, that's 16 leadership. If there's some terror beast and you aren't immune to that, that's 2 minutes of that is usually means your army is just gone unless you were really ahead. So
I think you can play around that. Typically when I lose my lord and I still am even or ahead in points, I just retreat every functional unit I have. Exactly because of what you said. I don't want like a full HP 1000 gold unit to just get terror routed and then trampled. But then you need to have a lord, of course, that's cheap enough to resummon. You need to be in a battlefield position where you can still afford this. I think the balance is very delicate between the investment that some people have put into your lord and how frustrating it would be if that didn't pay off, and the frustration of not being able to save your lord even though you already put so much into saving them.
Or on the other side,
The others.
What you wanted to say?
Maybe Wood Elf, but Seryca was nice today, so don't nerf Wood Elf.
Okay. There has been something. This is kind of like still on topic a bit. So, Doombolt versus Arrows of Keranos. How do we feel about that? That's a question I want to ask.
Fight,
I
fight,
think
fight.
This is
Dumble
something that's
much
been this is something that's been going on with the Waros. We've been talking about banning and unbanning and then limiting and unlimiting. So what is your experience and take on it?
Doombolt. I mean, it exacerbates that problem of sniping, right?
Yes.
Some people have been arguing that but the Gaze of Nagash is more effective per cost, or that the Spirit Leap is better because it does more damage per
Yeah.
the Winds of Magic spent, right? But the issue is that the factions the Doombolt is on, and the time to kill being extremely low, right? You cast 2 Doombolts on a foot character. He's just gone. He's just not there anymore. He he has disappeared of the battlefield, right? Meanwhile, you need to cast like 5 leeches or like I don't know 6 to kill.
Also, the range and the inability to hide behind terrain since it's coming from straight up, compared to missile spells. From a Gaze of Nagash, I can hide. From a Doombolt,
Yeah. All the Doombolt casters, like proper Doombolt casters, are small and nimble, right? You're never gonna catch a Pegasus or an Eagle if the player is good enough, right? You're never gonna catch them. You're never gonna even shoot them because they're so small. So, like, there is no real way to dodge. At least with the Gaze of Nagash, maybe the caster is Dragon, so it's like huge, so you can target it with something.
Yeah.
But,
It
like,
also has a cast time too.
cast time and line of sight required, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you just collect a Doombolt, then you delete a single entity, right? Yeah, damage is not the highest per Winds of Magic spent, but the time to kill is so small.
I think
Mm.
AOK is much less problematic, but it's also not its only application is the difference. Like you can't Doombolt an elite infantry to half HP. But you can, I don't think you can do that anymore after the penetration nerfs. But you were able to do that with Arrows of Kurnos, where it was really efficient to shoot at basically anything expensive, regardless of unit type.
I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think broccoli an important point where, like, yeah, Leech is maybe better per like Winds of Magic spent, but Doombolt is usable on other types of units as well. It might not delete like a 1400 gold infantry unit, but it will do.
That's okay. I can see that.
You
Yeah.
also can do some decent value with Spirit Leech on high value targets, regardless of its single entity or not. The damage it does is mostly the same. It's just that multi-entity units usually have higher HP pools per value.
I would just not really bet. I would kind of bet that Doombolt will like wipe out 25% of a infantry, even more if it's pumped up. Meanwhile,
if it's in a box, yeah. Otherwise, you 10 to 15, depending on how it hits, if it moves, and all the things. If it's engaged.
So even if you don't go for like a character squad and you're thinking, okay, he has no use for Doombolt will still cause some major damage. So
it's really inefficient, though.
I think it is not efficient, but it's still in that category where it's toxic because you can't. First of all, you have to bring a lot, right? But even if you don't, it can be really strong in situations against its non-intended target, and against its intended target, it's absolutely stupid.
Yeah. The reason is it's banned is because you can shoot not squishy single entity lord like Wolfric in what's the cooldown of the spell?
8 seconds, something like that.
Tumble 47 seconds plus the active time. So in maybe 70 seconds, you can take 70% HP. No. Yeah. About 70% HP of Wolfric was just the thing. And that's rather terrifying.
Here's a point we got. Oh, sorry, go ahead, finish Norix, and I'll get into it.
I wanted to play into something Lima said before. The time to kill is really important for such things. One way about the leadership damage, that just doing faster damage applies. So if you have one really big hit, you're way more likely to rout them afterwards, even if they have a lot of HP left. And the other thing is how often you need to expose your caster. Like for Spirit Leech, you need to get like 6 times, depending on what target, into 100 range of your target. And that often gives significant counter damage to your caster. With Doombolt, first of all, you have 200 range, and second, you only need to do it 2 or 3 times, not 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback off that, someone was mentioning how to counterplay into Doombolt. Like, when they saw Anticity's stream, they said there was a Tomb Kings player, which was Charix, and I think he was actually playing against you, Nerexa.
Yes, he was. He had the 60% spell resist active item on a hero to get countered.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did it work?
Yes.
It did work. It would have been even nicer if it wasn't in a matchup where it was completely irrelevant, since he had kind of an auto win.
yeah.
So it was a bad matchup anyway, so it wasn't really that relevant anyways. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
TK was what else, I guess.
The problem is that, like, you need ridiculous spell resistance to try to counter it, right? You need a 60 spell resistance. Like, even Korn with its mighty 35% spell resist and 15% missile resist on Valkia, you can still kill Valkia, like, pretty quickly.
Easily. It has happened to me.
You can snipe a small, flying, super fast, resistant character. Like, that's not okay, right? That's not... Even dwarf characters go from Doombolt because it's 100% AP. Yeah, like 35% will do something. Like, it for example, Spirit Leech will do nothing, right? But Doombolt will just nuke a character, right? It's kind of putting like a 30% spell resistance versus a Flames of Asgore, right? It doesn't matter. Flames will just delete anything.
Yeah, there are some spells where it just doesn't really... They overkill anyways. Like, you don't need 3 Doombolts to kill something. With or without spell resist.
That's part of the problem, like, no real counterplay. You can maybe dodge it when you go in circles with a single flying entity.
The only reliable way to dodge it is trees, or have something like a flying monster, or a chariot, because they have really weird hitboxes, so the tracking doesn't really work sometimes.
And like Doombolt was mainly exploited by like cheaters like Daniken, right?
I don't.
No, it was a Human Boy who first posted, and then it became after that.
Yeah.
I had a lot of people doing it.
That too.
Including myself a few occasions.
Human Boy's the one I meant that made it popular, is what I meant. Because of his YouTube video and then blah blah blah.
Yeah. People already noticed, right? But Human Boy thankfully brought attention to it.
Thankfully.
So yeah, here's my other perspective on AOK, just to play devil's advocate. The fact that AOK, you have to bring 2 Way Stalkers, right? Or Way Watchers, my bad. Is it Way Stalker?
Way Stalker was right.
Okay,
Stalker.
Yeah, sorry, too many ways. Way Stalkers, so it's about what, 750 for both, versus like a lore that only has to pay 200 for a Doombolt. AOK though, you can do multiple shots. There are far more utility. There's far more shots versus Doombolt, and I think you guys kind of touched on that. So is AOK still relevant after all that though? In comparison,
I think so, because it's just separate from your magic pool, right? And Wood Elves do have access to Doombolts if we're playing that game. So Wood Elves can literally just do Doombolts and double AOK. But if we're banning Doombolts, as we should, I think AOK always have merit just because they're separate from your caster, they're separate from your Winds of Magic pool, and they're on 2 characters, which are actually pretty good, I think. Most Wood Elf players think they're very weak without the AOKs, but I think it's pretty solid capture weight on a point. It's pretty hard to remove. They can snipe expensive stuff even with AOK down.
And not to mention the range as well between the 2 spell, or the spell and the abilities.
600 meter range on Arrows of Kurnos, by the way. 600.
It doesn't matter, really.
Why do you...
To be fair,
I agree.
AOK in my experience I've seen is very jank because sometimes if there's any sort of incline, it will like either land on the ground unless it's like artillery. The artillery is the only thing it consistently does well on.
No, even that not. If it's rather small model things like mortars, it often hits the ground if the ground is a bit wavy already. Like on Itza, you have a really good chance that like half of your shots you get at mortars just hit the ground. And the range of Era of Karnas is the 600 are irrelevant since most realistic battlefields don't have this length at all.
I think if it were like 200 or 300 range, it wouldn't matter since it's on a stealth character anyways.
Yeah,
With
so,
Vanguard, yeah.
I think the biggest problem people have is that it's kind of aggravating because most factions like have a pretty big weakness. Like even if they're strong, counts have a lack of range options, right? I don't know, some factions like they maybe have bad melee or something. Most factions like have a real weakness they really struggle with. For Wood Elves, you would think that's like really long range shooting, right? But then they pull out arrows or Kernas. They pull out two casters of AOK, and your artillery is gone. You just kind of die to mid-range
They
shooting.
still have other weaknesses, but I agree that Arrows of
They
Karnas
have
kind of
other
eliminates.
weaknesses. They have the weakness of not having armor and thus getting really run over by shock infantry or strong armored cavalry. And the issue with Wood Elves against artillery is not that it's weakness, it's a really fucking bad weakness. They have expansive units, they have low HP units, and they have unarmored units, and rely a lot on infantry. And that means they get utterly farmed by things like mortars or screaming skull catapults, Sunmaker, magma cannons.
We are all NPCs living in a Sunmaker world. Truly.
What a time to be alive.
I like the concept of AOK countering artillery, but the problem with it is what I said earlier. In my mind, if I have a specific anti-artillery tool and I've paid close to close to 2k to bring those two heroes, and then they can still just get their value by shooting it into elite infantry, elite cavalry, enemy lords, whatever. That's a problematic thing.
It's 200 gold. You get 1,000 gold value easily.
No, it's not easily.
Okay, so just to clear the air real quick, so from what I understand, Doombolt versus AOK is less inconsistent even though it has more utility, it's less inconsistent compared to Doombolt, where its intention there is really good. Which is the Lord Snipe. Yeah, okay.
I think arrows is too consistent to get value with. Even if you don't get as much as you want, you take it to counter something, and typically you take both in your opening build. And I think they would be removed from the opening build if they were less powerful against non-artillery targets.
Like even if they don't take it, it's constant. It's constantly in the back of your head. Okay, what if they just go for a double arrows or caster?
That's also true.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you don't have that, I had matches against Maximilian's counts recently, multiple times, and what he kind of came up with in the end, with restrictions of Arrows of Karnas not being able to take out the mortars, he just goes a fully brained build with 3 mortars, and the rest is just HP. Just deckhands with HP in the end, and then 3 single entities. It's just a full-on box, and still those 3 mortars are enough to completely farm Wood Elves down so hard that you need to engage with them. And if you don't have those counter artillery tools to deal with a mortar, then you have to throw your low HP, really vulnerable units into its range and just get crushed. There aren't that many options for Wood Elves to deal with such artillery, since they don't have their own long-range tools, and they don't have the Furies that all the other factions by now basically have that, like the counter-artillery.
Yeah, so...
Is that...
Oh, I'm sorry, Lemur, just let me get in this. So the point you want to make is nerf ogres. Okay, good, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, go ahead, Lemur.
I think that is genuinely true, though, because ogres also do that well.
Yeah, I'm glad we're having such a meaningful discussion. I mean, okay, is it really a good argument to be like, okay, arrows are not the OP because into this one faction, if they bring a lot of HP, which is by the way undead, they are okay. I mean, like Wood Elves shouldn't struggle with
it's just the example I made. Other factions can do it the same way.
I don't know. We have Maximilianer in chat saying AOK could use a buff. I don't know if he's being serious. I hope so.
He's held hostage by Seryca. We'll ignore him. So
I think what actually needs buffs is Hawk Riders in this situation.
No.
Why did you say that, Lemur? Why?
I think if they had Hawk Riders and the shots actually did some damage, right now I think the only application of Hawk Riders is to melee countercharge armored stuff like gyro.
Well, here's the problem though. Wood Elves are already like top 5 easy. You make Hawk Riders as good as they are, then like what's stopping Wood Elves at this point? You know what I mean? If they have a tool for everything,
like, take away how good arrows are in exchange for a missile strength buff on Hawk Riders that would only matter into low entity units like artillery crews.
But who benefits from Airkite being good? Was there any point in this game where...
As long as it's not Changebringers, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but like, was there any point in this game where Airkite was good and everyone was satisfied with the game?
How about we don't buff their shooting then? We just buff their melee.
Yeah, exactly.
Melee doesn't get to melee against artillery.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing, Wood Elves have really high stats on their units, but there's so many things in the game that completely ignore them that it doesn't really work buffing them.
So if we ignore bad opinions here, basically, arrows of Kernus. Like any matchup where arrows might not be useful is already a matchup that Wood Elves are really good into. Oh, you might not be able to kill all the mortars, but all of your infantry is spread out. Your archer faction versus coast, which like is like a natural predator of the coast. You have cavalry.
No longer.
No, they don't have enough AP to.
I've won that from both sides.
I think it's a decent matchup, but.
That's. I mean, I'm not commenting on how good the matchup for Wood Elves is, but like, on how I don't think that's really a solid argument for arrows being okay. They are not a-okay. Yeah. You see.
My God. Anyway. Very nice joke. I think they need some more specialization. I think they should be a counter-artillery tool.
But not kill elite infantry as well.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I think. They should be more specialized, and then they might even be better.
I've actually done the testing on our artillery in the melee, and they actually take out dwarf artillery okay. Respectable. Not as good as Furies, but if they try to fight any like air units, they pretty much get crumbled. So if they could actually get a cost reduction, I think they'd be fine.
Which unit?
Hawk Riders, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're not that bad.
If there's screening involved, they're rather squishy.
Right. There's no way
they will not take the unit out, and especially Dwarven infantry artillery is very famous for coming back with exactly 5 crew members, or 8 you need, I think, to crew all 4 pieces and still fire away at 100% capacity.
It happens to Furies as well, by the way. If dwarf players knew how to park a tanky unit on top of their cannons instead of a Slayer unit, which is countered by Furies as well, maybe they wouldn't lose cannons to Furies.
I mean, I think
Doubt it.
most dwarf players are like AI generated people. They're not sure.
You're such an asshole.
You know which artillery units even Furies can't really touch because they don't have crews,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so,
and they
so
still do about
you know-
as much damage.
these obvious sycophants to the meta who want Wood Elves to be buffed and Khorne to be buffed and Nurgle to be buffed, we will come to the conclusion easily that arrows should be nerfed.
And all
Let's say
single entity
readjust.
artillery removed from the game. Yes.
I think
It's
single
a trait I
entity
take,
needs
but-
to be changed for sure.
Oh.
Like
Oh
the
no,
fucking
like-
Seryca needs to have 15 speed.
Okay,
It has
I think we're
my-
going to like all over the place right now. So hold on, I'm gonna transition to the next thing.
No,
which is...
we're
oh no,
there's
they're
one
taking over.
lemur. There's one lemur so
Mhm.
clinging too hard to the arrow of Kernus because he knows what counts the moment the topic is shifted.
Uh-oh.
You know,
Trains and
No.
hell
So
cannons, magma cannons.
Yeah. So basically, I wanted to say about the trains that Ergo Kernels, are not a fun ability because you just stand there and take it, and trains are balanced.
Same
right?
with magma cannons.
We can agree on
same
that.
with the Serycas.
Okay, that shrieker. If you cannot dodge a dead shriek, gets another hobby. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I saw the famous
You
comment.
know, some
Yeah,
people need to actually manage their army, and
Look
True.
at me, my stalking army.
You have stalking units in your army that are very good.
Okay, no swearing, please. Children are watching this. Anyway,
usually the Chaos Dwarfs against Wood Elves are with more stalking units on the field.
I agree.
yeah, exactly. And like that's because you require more skill as the chaos dwarfs. I said all of this already. I don't know what are we discussing here. Trains are balanced.
Take.
All right,
Please, nerds, take us away to the next question.
The next is going to be actually some questions. If you guys want to take some questions from chat, if you want to ask questions, now's the time because
Just
Lieber's about to
don't
answer
talk.
all of them. So go on ahead. If everyone has any questions, please shoot before Lemur takes us all hostage for another
Yeah.
ear beating, which I seem to enjoy, but I don't know. He's got some sort of charm.
He does have a certain.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm just
It's
Sterngard fed me some drugs today.
It's,
I can't
oh,
wait.
Now it's the
Next
other
time I'm gonna
one.
have you, Sterngard. I don't know if Nerexa wants to jump in on that.
So, honestly,
Kill me.
can we have Ron Brindle here next, please?
If I can get him, if he sees that he's with you two, I don't know. He might like put you in the book and then leave.
Okay,
Please get Grumbundle while he's still on the month of Wood Elf and
Okay.
forced playing.
Okay. Well, I'll try to get Grombrindle. Okay, so Angels
He's
of K
been
are
really considerate, even advocating for great stack buffs.
Okay. I'll try. Okay, so first question: Angels of the K or Iron Demon? What is more OP? Ooh.
I'll take this one. I'll take the fall.
Okay.
The Iron Demon is less interactable, but the Angels of Decay can be more oppressive. I think the Angels should lose the 5 more ammo that they have compared to the base version. So you actually need to choose what you shoot instead of being good against everything. But in a setup where you have any shooting at all, the Angels can be super neutralized. And in a situation where you have the perfect counters to Iron Demons, the Iron Demons will still farm their value every time.
Oh no, I cannot kill my trains with Nurglings. No.
Okay.
Well, I wonder whose alt account the next question is by.
Why is Sterngard your role model as a player and a person too? I guess that one's for Lemur.
True. You go ahead.
You know, I started playing this game and I felt so alone because no one shared my revolutionary ideas, right? It felt like staring at the stars, nothing between you and them. And then Sterngard appeared, right? This man with the most correct opinions on the world, right? He's like the only one who gets me. It's not that he gets me, I get him. He's like an inspirational role. Do you think Mahatma Gandhi was like popular at first? Not really. But people listened to him. Some people listened to him. He was a real change bringer. I mean, not the Zine one, but like the
Uh-huh.
point stands. Like that
You want to
man,
compare a short, angry Italian man to Mahatma Gandhi?
like he maybe has like a stained wife beater, like you said, broccoli, but he is my Italian man in a stained wife beater.
What is wrong with you people? Jesus.
Okay, I said this in the past when he attacked me out of nowhere. I said he was wearing a stained wife beater and he's balding. But my lawyer advised me to not repeat
Okay,
this
okay.
at that
So,
time.
so
Okay.
just so it's on the note. I think he has like a luscious mane. He's like a
Mm-hmm.
lion, an
Yeah,
Italian
like a
lion,
sleepy lion in many ways.
sleepy lion. True, actually true.
Oh no, not him. Jeez. Don't involve him now. God.
Okay, so when we are discussing other players, I really just need to shout out my other goat besides Sunguard. And
Mm-hmm.
like man that I hold in high honors, and I'm sure other people here do. And it's Ponti, and I'll probably mispronounce it like Misklo.
Yeah, was mispronounced. That's all I can say.
Oh, Ponty. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ponti.
the dark
Ponti
elf,
has been
the dark elf main,
darker
the
player.
real dark elf main, the
True,
person who
true.
plays fun dark elf units instead of kite.
Yeah.
Leave Danny alone. I like Danny. He was nice.
And I
Danny
will.
knows.
Danny played core the other time I played him, so he's all right.
Dan is starting to play Nurgle because he asked me one time what he should play in a tournament when he couldn't decide. I told him Nurgle, then he got hooked on them, and now it's like one and a half or 2 weeks later, and he's like, "Oh, this faction is so fucking miserable. I'll play this again when it gets buffs." Okay,
Uh,
man, that's what I've been saying.
yeah, it is. It's fucking awful.
No, it's fun.
It
Nurgle
is
is
fun,
balanced.
but playing against things like Tube Kings and other shooting factions has been fucking dire. Ugh.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean,
what
they're
else?
they fundamentally need changes, but they won't be Nurgle anymore. They won't be funny, little stinky
I
guys.
think they're in a good spot. Like some of the units, their carry units are a bit too strong, and a lot of the rest of the roster is a bit lackluster.
I think they just need a couple cost decrease in certain spots compared to their other monogod factions.
We
Alright,
should
but
no, we should give HP increases. Lean more into Neural.
Maybe. We'll see.
Lemur. Exactly. Anyway,
Lemur
I like
into Neural.
yeah. Anyway, Nurgle seems as good as a faction like Nurgle can be right now. Like Counts is probably what Nurgle should be, what Nurgle
No,
dreams.
no, no. Nurgle is in a much better spot than Counts,
Yeah,
especially for the
like
person playing against Neural.
yeah. Counts. If people are underestimating Counts, like they are up there. Maybe not top three.
I think they are for sure up there as well.
Yeah.
Like if ogres were top one, objectively speaking, right?
Objectively, I agree.
Maybe like the other two spots would be probably filled by something like Norska, which is no one is mentioning for some reason. Like
Also agreed.
I've been mentioning that
they're
for a long time, just not here. It's this Norska getting nothing but buffs was insane when they hit.
I completely agree.
That was nuts. So everything else on the top got nerfed, and then Norska gets nothing but buffs, which is bonkers. And then of course they just steamroll everyone. Like,
Shockingly. Plus the like new bug with the mammoth, really awesome.
yeah. And then their chariots also just being gross, which
Oh, yeah.
Danny also
It's-
brought into own goal and absolutely crushed them. So that was fun.
yeah, that was a turning point in like seeing how chariots actually work. Like a really high level where saw that chariots can be really annoying, right? If you don't bring these three exact units you need in combination to deal with a chariot.
Well, at least they're not very damaging.
And-
That's all I
and,
can
like,
say in Norska's defense.
Third, what would be a third most powerful faction? I think it speaks of volumes of how like game is in
Will Beastmen
Sure.
or Two Kings.
a relatively balanced spot that you can like discuss who like third or fourth
That's true.
most
Yeah,
broken faction
it's
is.
not a clear top league right now. I think it's
Some
just
people
unlimited ogres at the top, and if we put Lead Belchers limited, then ogres are probably in line with the other A tier factions.
I mean, personally, I think ogres have problems like infantry spam. Like you can go for any build you want as ogres, right? Any type
But
of
it's
build.
not gonna be as good though. You are talking from a very specific perspective of Chaos Dwarfs, I think.
Yeah,
Hold on.
very
Okay, I know we want to keep talking about ogres, my lord, but
Okay.
first, Nerexa, do you have anything you want to input on this before we go into something else? The next question.
Yeah, what's the top
On
factions, Nerexa?
on the top factions, I find it super hard to make any statement on there. There's always some sentiment of the months or the quarter,
Yeah.
and it often shifts without any actual changes, just because people change their opinion on some things. You spammed something for long enough that finally everyone noticed it and start bringing the counters, and suddenly it's not so bad anymore. And unless something really sticks out several seasons on the top, I find it hard to say that something is really top tier. I would
So
say
there's nothing right now.
ogres kind of have that by now that they stuck out several seasons as the top tier. So, but that's the only one I would really
Okay.
agree on. I couldn't even say the top 5 be on actual things
Okay. No, I can agree with
below
that.
that. Like the I tried to say that for, or imagine how it would be if you put like the 10 best players into a room and let them play everything for at least 10 times, and then the ranking I couldn't predict.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's also very dictated by who even plays what.
Yeah, that too. What a reasonable and very, very calm and demeaning take,
That's
Lemur.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, let's move to the next question. I was just waiting for you to jump. Okay. Yeah, Max Millionaire says no. Counts are very weak. I actually think Mortis engines need 30% missile resist and Vigor Mortis to 55 meters.
Actually correct, yeah. Both.
Now
both
this is
sound.
obviously it's a troll comment, but there should not be any auras in a game on a massive map like this that are 35 meters.
Yeah,
And if that
35
includes counts buffs, then I'm okay with giving 55 meters as the standard range to all auras, except if it's like something super specific, like a stealth.
yeah, like I say maybe increase it even to 70. Maybe decrease it a little bit in strength, but like to 70, because right now 35 meters just encourage single entity blobbing, right?
About 70 is 140 meters across.
Yeah, but like
That's
return down the power. Maybe like buff in a larger area. Maybe give it to
I
the
think
train.
55 is the sweet spot.
Maybe give it to the train.
Okay, then. 70 meters radius for the terror effect, I think.
Why not map wide? There's some terrifying beast flying above, and everyone can
We
see it.
all
Everyone
do.
should be terrified, right?
Yeah,
Right?
I agree.
All right.
It's less terrifying when your mate Jack is getting mauled by a dragon.
That's true. At least you're not getting mauled.
Oh, jeez.
Exactly.
Okay. We have another question real quick. So, any thoughts about giving Plague Bearers charge defense, also with a
What a-
cost increase?
Great question. I've been saying this, but Nurgle needs charge defense. There is currently 0 units on the roster with charge defense, if you can believe it. And there are 2 units that you can take multiples of that have anti-large. And this combined creates a situation where Nurgle is specifically weak to like random cavalry charges on your front line. Of course, it doesn't do as much damage because you are very tanky and you have higher melee defense and so on. But there literally being 0 units with charge defense is crazy to me. I'm hoping that Norska DLC brings the Marauders with whips from tabletop, and those could have marked variants and charge defense, like the Slanesh whips have.
And they're gonna
and
be
that
all
could
for
be the
Slanesh
first.
too. No
Yeah.
Nurgle.
Well, I'm hoping for a marked Nurgle Marauder with whips, just to have a single charge defense unit. And it's not like
So-
charge defense is overpowered. You just put a hero in the unit, and units in melee lose their charge defense anyways.
Yeah, to Marauders, yeah, I would agree with Marauders. With the Plague Bearers, maybe not just because of Doc would be like a huge issue.
I think Plague Bearers are already a pretty good unit.
I don't know about Doc because they have a lot of bad matchups. They're solid, but they have so many bad matchups. It wouldn't be that bad for them.
They're just a coin flip action.
But yeah, but it wouldn't make them like better into those matchups. It would make them even better into matchups they were already good because Doc loves to build up, right? And build up with a charged event unit is pretty strong, right? Because you come to the points and just stand there and are unkillable
But
because missiles are shut down,
if
right?
you build up, normally you're moving forward, so it's less of a struggle.
Yeah,
And they're slow as
Yeah,
shit, so it's not like they're
That's
gonna be.
yeah, but
I think charge defense is often overrated.
I agree.
Especially on low tier chaff. The situations where actually something large crashes into them and they are braced are super rare.
Yes.
You can prevent something just cycle front your formation with that, definitely. But
that's all.
if that is an issue for you, you have really built problems if you can't punish a cavalry just riding on and charging into the front of your formation without any punishment. What
That's kind of the
really
roster.
is more the factor is that it often is on spears, and the counter damage is way more relevant often.
That's true. Like you're denying the charge defense, and also you're doing more damage. But I think in Nurgle in particular, that lacks punish options for heavy cav already, because all your mass units armor or are Chaos Knights, which are a joke. So you can't counter charge, as you can't punish a charge into a unit that doesn't have charge defense. So I think I agree with you that charge defense isn't a very relevant stat, but I just wish I could have a unit parked on a point and not get run over by a frontal charge.
Yeah, I guess. It requires some extra time, some extra micro to the opponent to
exactly.
prevent it.
It's a micro tax to circumvent charge defense or charge deflect or whatever you have.
So this is a question from Scarborough. What are your guys' thoughts on corn?
You guys go ahead first.
Okay.
They're fine. Like they struggle with some matchups just because they are pure malefaction, right?
Are they though?
They are. Skull
They
cannons
have-
are really bad unless they
Yeah.
have something to melee and
Yeah.
recover their ammo.
They're good versus
And then there's the regiment.
That is not a. Scarbrand
Okay.
is in chat, so we have the #1 RR Skull Cannon hater. But I think that unit is very niche because it's so easy to snipe. It's 1600 gold for less than 5k HP.
And like it deals with infantry.
But if you
like,
can't defend that thing, you're doing some things wrong.
I mean,
I
okay,
agree.
so Corn struggles with kite, right? Do
Yes.
cannons help with kite a bit, but like
Yes.
it won't kill a chariot ever.
Mostly
Do-
cannons help with artillery, not with kite.
Does Korn struggle with kite, or don't
Yes.
they struggle with anything else?
Mostly kite. It used to be large single entities
They
until
they,
corn
they
doors.
struggle only with kite. Is
Okay,
I
yeah,
want to say.
fair.
And also, Korn being pure melee faction, I end up with the Korn Wood Elf matchup so often in a situation where my Blade Singers are kited by Skirmish Cav from Korn.
It's a skill issue because you have the perfect answer to the worst skirmish cav.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You
corn.
just
Corn
use
skirmish. Oh, go
arrows.
ahead.
I don't even have burning head or any magic.
Yeah, because corn
You have a
skirmishers are more
broadcast
like
there.
just light cav, honestly, because their charge bonus is actually pretty solid.
They're really good in
Yeah.
melee, yeah. But they don't have the morale, really dedicated melee unit. And they're bad at squishing anything that's not infantry, because the axe throwers have such like weird throwing animations.
Yeah.
They're mostly just used. Well, I use them to attack stationary armored targets, like rotate quickly, do a lot of damage in one spot, and then move away from danger. They're not like a javelin or like a horse master.
Yeah, but it often leads to a situation where your opponent actually wants to engage in a fair fight with Karn because they brought like Haganah's executioners onto the field, and suddenly Karn says, "No, lol, I don't want to fight you anymore in melee. I'm not the faction for that. No, I kite you with AP missiles."
So deserved. If you're playing Dark Elves, you deserve it more than anything.
Mm.
I think 4 short range, unshielded, not that low armored skirmish cav are okay to deal with. But I do agree that Korn relies on them a bit too much, which is more a symptom of Fleshhounds being so horrible. Because that would be your other mobility option in that price category, and they just have animations where they never hit anything that's trying to remotely run away from them.
Oh, okay.
I'm
How do they compare to Saber Tusks and Ice Hounds?
Well, Saber Tusks are 500, and Fleshhounds are 750, so that's how they compare. They're the same unit, like the same quality of unit, I think.
Oh yeah,
Ah,
Same
Saber
demonic, so yeah.
Tusks have some issues, especially
rampage.
with. Yeah, you can rampage them and suddenly they are forever stuck in the spear unit and just dead. It's actually a problem.
a 500 gold unit.
Yeah, I agree.
But-
A
Yeah,
one
but
Warhound is 450.
it's enough of a problem that ogres say no, we don't do that, and use their own furies instead for all the same tasks.
I think Korn goes for a double War Shrine into ogres. Am I mistaken, Broccoli?
Yeah, that sounds really good. Well, my general opinion on Korn is just that it's like better Nurgle, really.
Yeah.
Nurgle is a bit better at countering Kite, but with Korn you have, as Nerexa said, you are incredible in melee. You don't have any weaknesses except Kite, really. Except you can sometimes struggle to kill armored infantry in melee if you can't go very wide into bloodletters. But that's like the identity of the faction, because I don't have magic. The compensation I get for not having magic is 35% magic resist, which doesn't apply to debuffs. Smart players are just gonna like Plague of Rust me.
No.
Yeah,
But I
that's
like being able to play very aggressively. I like the surprise attacks you can do with Korn. A lot of fun, weird units and unit combinations you can do. I think they're in a good spot, in a really good spot. Like, considering their identity, I think they're maybe even a bit too strong.
Yeah,
But
like-
it's made up for by the horrible, disgusting matchups that you face, such as Dark Elves.
Yeah, I mean, and Korn also has this like little known unit called Wrathmongers.
Mm-hmm. This is the most overrated unit in the game. This unit is not good.
Yeah, it's
The
not.
moment I stopped taking this unit, in most matchups, my win rate skyrocketed.
It's huge.
okay. So, what's
Yeah.
everyone's opinion on? This is my question now. What's everyone's opinion on Wrathmongers? I guess.
Non-interactable. No. In melee. Okay, they're
The
shootable.
RR is good at what they do, but you can just shoot them. Like, when I play against Korn, on average, they're gonna get 500 to 1,000 value.
Okay.
Because, I mean, they're not hard to shoot to shut down, and it's 750 gold on a relatively slow infantry unit. Like, yeah, it's gonna fuck up anything that it touches, but
Yeah.
For an infantry unit, it really isn't slow, and there really isn't a lot that can even hope of fighting it in melee. So
That's good.
You kind of polarize it so completely that you say it's bad because it's so good that everyone
No,
is
I
so
think this one
afraid
is.
of it.
I think sorry, I didn't specify the normal one. Why people have been saying you just take the RR and then the two normal ones. This is troll. The 1500 one is complete bait. It's not a good unit. The 1715 one is a really good unit, but I still wouldn't take it in every build. I would take it in maybe like 5-6 matchups.
Well, that's a considerable amount.
Yeah, I think that's why I think it's really good. But
And
as you say,
even in the
either
others,
right?
they're the threat of them makes things, well, forces the other side, if they want to not gamble into abandoning certain build decisions, like Empire bringing great swords at all. Once those guys on the field, you regret it that you thought about them.
That's true. But you could make this case, I think, for many units. I think they're very polarized, as you said. Like, if they get into melee, they're gonna get their 2,000, 3,000 value every time. If they get shot, it's basically a one game.
Yeah, it feels like Changebringers almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can make that argument about that many units. In melee, usually if a unit pays for 50% more than they than they cost, it's already really damn good for a melee infantry unit. Even just paying for themselves is great in most situations. And if you then have one that can end up on like 60, 70, 80% of the value cost, that's not what a lot of things can do.
Interesting. Because with that idea, sorry, Broccoli, let me just get this point real. Sorry. So my thing is thinking that when I have like 4 fanatics and I'm spamming out loons, this might be totally different argument. But if they're getting like their value and then some, just like what's the point? You know what I mean? Like if Wrathmongers can hit that, and my 550 loon throwing fanatics can get their value more just because they're loons in stock versus Wrathmongers being 1500 and have to get an engagement, but it can be shot by anything and just lose. Yeah,
I think that's not fair because it's very difficult to get real good value, and it takes a lot of micro for the Night Goblins. And the Wrathmongers, you can just right-click something.
Not necessarily. You gotta avoid certain things. That's where terrain, I guess, comes into play then for Wrathmongers too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You don't have to avoid a lot of things with Wrathmongers. That's kind of the problem.
We're talking about the RR, right?
But they have weaknesses that most other elite infantry will have,
like magic.
AP shooting and defense.
Yeah, the only weakness they have, as you're speaking right now, is shooting. Which, yeah, it's a pretty good way to deal with them. But other like elite infantry, I would say, also have that problem in the similar category. But these ones are not affected by spells and are gonna smash even single entities in melee because of how.
Well, you shouldn't bring damage spells into core regardless. But if you do like an overcast plague of rust on them and you have 3 archer units which are combined half their value, you're gonna kill that unit real fast.
Yeah.
Like you need to dedicate some resources to destroy the most powerful, like on paper, infantry unit in the game, yes.
Well, hold on. Let's clear something up. So, Wrathmongers, what are the matchups you bring in? Because you're obviously not going to bring them into shooting, because if you do, you're just going to have a bad time. I mean, I guess you
I would bring them,
could.
of course, into vampires.
Yeah.
They're very good into vampires. They are good into Nurgle, but you have to be careful, have to avoid Curse of the Leper, because damage reflection is devastating to them.
Right.
I like bringing them into Cathay, because you want something that just punches through that front line super quick.
And their artillery is
But Cathay also does have the tools to kill them, so it's more of like a difficult
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I think they
Let's
got
take-
into Beastman because Beastman you can screen out the firepower a bit, and the matchup is already so not good for Corn in terms of mobility that it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think going heavier, like taller, into a super strong unit that can kill stuff like the Butchers of Kalkengard. I would never bring them into Empire, for example, Wood Elves,
Yeah.
Chaos Dwarfs.
Is there a matchup where we would bring an? Is there a matchup where you would bring another elite infantry, where you wouldn't bring a Ratmonger? Like, is there a matchup where
Yeah,
you
for
would
sure,
bring
for sure.
a
Exalted
Slaughter?
Bloodletters are so much killier than them, like for their cost up front. It's just that the Wrathmongers never really die, so they keep grinding. But if you want something gone, you take Exalted Bloodletters. They're also obviously much cheaper, and they're a bit faster. Yeah,
Okay.
I think they have my preference, honestly.
Yeah, nerf Wood Elves.
True, true.
Good
My
save.
first experiences with Rasmongers were when I came back after not having played for a while and facing Corn, and I landed, I think, double dragons into them,
Yeah,
trying to kill
probably.
them because single entity with AP and charge getting off are usually a good counter to killy elite infantry. And like 20 seconds after, my dragons were gone. Like,
That was a ridiculous time. They were reined in some since then, and your big SEMs cycle charging them can still counter them. But you have to literally like instantly pull out. You can't sit there and take advantage of your charge bonus. You can only use the cycle charge animation and then you dip.
Real quick,
yeah,
Nurix. Scarbrand saying that was actually him. He remembers that game.
yeah, yeah, I
Good.
did too. Afterwards, there were some where I tried to cycle charge them with Stag Knights and had
Oh yeah,
to
that doesn't work.
find out that they just have a better charge than the Stag Knights. So,
But to be
yeah.
fair, Stag Knights are pretty weak, like in general, I think. At their price
Yeah,
point.
but they're still the best melee unit that I might want to engage with.
That's true. Like they're the
Like,
best you have, and it's just not enough.
yeah,
Unlucky that you're playing
I
a
don't think they are even the problem child of Corn, if Corn even has one. But I think it would be rather Skulltaker.
yeah, Skulltaker on the bike. The bikes in general, their animation jank is almost on par with the trains.
It's really something majestic when a bike beats like a dragon in a duel or something.
Yeah.
Oh, Kalfran.
A lot of SEMs just don't even attempt to attack the bike.
They just kind of stare at it, like menacingly.
They just look at it or they try to walk forward into it. Yeah. The Skulltaker's bike, but that's a fix that we're never gonna see because CA doesn't like remake animation sets and stuff like that. But I personally, when I play Corn, I haven't played with Skulltaker on the bike in a very long time because I consider it janky and OP.
Janky and OP Skulltaker. Nah, come on.
Just on the bike. Just on the bike.
He's
I do
perfectly fine. You need that healing, baby. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness.
Right.
He needs it so hard, man. No. But everyone's kind of switching to Arbol now, ever since Scarbread pretty much put out getting the nerf. I mean, he's still good, but yeah.
It's
Maybe
funny
they're
to
just
have
all
a one.
imitating me because I've been an Arbol enjoyer since day one. He's just so hard to snipe. Arbol has like 75 resist against magic missiles, which are a lot of what people try to snipe you with, even if you're Corn.
And
like a
people,
Doombolt.
sorry, just real quick, and 50% spell resist, which was nuts too. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that either.
And that's because he is on a flash hunt and they have 50%.
Oh yeah, and it has 25% missile resist.
Yeah, exactly. So it adds up to 75 against stuff like a Gaze of Nagash.
Yeah, and for some reason a Corn character has good melee stats. I don't know.
That's true. That's true. But he has one weird weakness, which doesn't matter in Dom as much, but makes him unplayable in land battle, where his explosion ability is on cooldown at the start of battle for like 70 seconds.
Which
So in Dom it's fine because the games can go very long, but I've heard that in land battle he's really a liability to bring because the engagement happens before your lord gets his damage ability.
yeah.
It's just like a weird thing about him. But I still think he's like the go-to option is Skull Taker. And he's probably the second best, and then Valkyr, just because Sleipnir itself could be a lord.
No, Valky is just. I feel like she's a trap, especially after the nerf too. I would never bring her once Skull Taker in the DLC drop because.
Nah. If you
Yeah,
need
the
any
spear is good. The
hero
spear is
last
absolutely
fight,
good, but
yeah,
the
the
only reason
spear
you
is
bring her is because she won't get sniped as easily. But if you drop her in any like light
no, she
cav,
dies
she'll
to
die.
any.
Yeah, she'll
I
die.
fucking hate that. She's like, I use her like a hornet, kind of. Like, you just go after their big targets that are isolated, you hit them once, like you sting, and then you retreat. Or you
And
support a fight where you already have something. Like, she can beat a dragon together with 2 horsemen, but she can't beat anything by herself.
we have
She
a dragon at home.
can be an incredible micro tax on the opponent,
That's
and
true.
often people just disregard that because they can't feel it from their side. But if I have a cast alert on a horse or flying, and I have to click every 15 seconds a new move order for them in a good direction, or actually maneuver them around things, then the rest of my field way easily crumbles.
That's true. You do need to deal with her in some way. But if you ever get her in a cavalry unit, she is not coming out.
No,
And she
no,
does so fast as well.
no.
Depends on the cav units.
Even if it's
Again,
just a wild rider.
no,
Yes,
no.
it has happened to me.
Like
I gotta.
she's not coming out, but she's also not taking damage in there.
I mean,
I
that's
mean-
like at least 2 to 3 minutes of her not doing anything but getting stuck.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's 2 or 3 minutes of her as an anti-large fighter killing cav
She
units.
does
That's
not
expensive.
beat a unit of wild riders.
And on top
She
of that,
does.
with her being as light as she is, she doesn't have the mass, so she'll get what is it? She'll stagger. So
Yeah, the whole time. She just gets pushed and then takes damage from all sides because she's surrounded.
I've had
And
that
she
happen to
has-
me in tournaments so many times because it's just like,
It's
why is this
insane.
girl not living? God.
I hate that. But that's kind of a skill issue. Like, you just need to avoid that one particular unit type. But I
mean,
still lose her all the time to it, even though I know it, and then I beat myself up.
I mean, this is all
Yeah.
propaganda. Like, a big Nurgle doesn't want you to know that Exalted Bloodthirster is actually OP.
True. Very good.
That's one of the things. And this community, I hear a damn lot that Valkyr has problems, is bad, just is a trap. But then one of the rare matches I play with people from other communities, they even bring it on Warriors of Chaos into Wood Elves with all the other great options there, and make it work. But
I
they
think
play a
she's not-
completely different style for Warriors, with a lot of hounds actually, and
That's how
really
I-
mobile picky style, and not infantry grind walkover, which is currently the favorite here
Yeah,
with Forsaken Spam.
yeah. I mean, that
That's
makes sense.
basically how I play. She's just so much better at supporting mobile engagements just because she flies. And if
And
you
al-
have one problem unit, like an Empire matchup, for example, the Greatsword, you just drop a Sleipnir, and you're not just deleting one unit that's good, you're deleting the unit that's causing you problems, which is much better for your army overall.
And that's not including that walk also gives you the option for magic on top of her, so that actually makes sense. Okay. That's
I
actually-
really like her. I think she's wildly underrated. That's probably because most Corn players don't have hands and just right click forward.
Hey, that's me. That's not true.
It's
It's
not
kind
true.
of true.
No, that's not true. It
It's
was
kind of true.
a slight exaggeration.
No. I was talking about me, but yeah, okay.
No.
Yeah, we got no more other questions. I'm kind of like tapping out too. So you guys got anything else? Any shout outs you guys want to go before we go?
Shout out to Ponty.
Squeak.
Weak.
Shout out to my boy Melkor,
Oh, with
Melkor.
Melkor.
Muscular Melkor. He knows where he's at.
Okay.
To Nerd War Room for being like the best Warhammer YouTuber, officially.
Thank you.
True.
Like RTK for enabling
Okay.
us.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Sorry, Norex, I had you with nothing but RTK. I couldn't find anyone else.
Yeah.
We're not that bad. Yeah. I wanna. Yeah, you go ahead, Lemur. You go finish up.
Shout out to my guy in the Vibe Beater, Sterngard, for being
Oh.
there this time.
He's talking mad shit with you at the Rat Clan, though.
That's
Yeah,
great.
when he kicks me out of the clan, it's like, special feeling.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. RTK is the kind that helped me improve, turned me into the player I am. In particular, Dustman, who has always been helpful with like theory crafting stuff, and is always
Awesome.
willing to listen and give feedback. Always even to players who are not in RTK, who are just dropping by in our server or in our voice chats. He's very helpful. And then I want to thank someone from the community who's not a competitive player, who's just a casual player, named Basilisk in the Total Tavern Discord, who was the first player I ever played against. He's super nice. He's a French Wood Elf main. He plays basically only Wood Elves. He was so nice, and he taught me like all the basics of multiplayer and of domination, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, Norexa?
Yeah, I have a warning to everyone. Be careful if you meme too hard in tournament matches. I have personally witnessed quite a few people being forced drafted into XMT afterwards.
Oh,
So, otherwise, shout out to everyone. Play my Wood Elves. Athalora needs my trees.
I agree. I think Wood Elves are a fun faction.
Thank you for.
All right. I think we'll call it there. Shout out to everyone else. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one. Peace.